Well, hello there, Catherine Langman here with you on the Productpreneur Success Podcast. Welcome to the show if you are a new listener, and of course, welcome back if you are a long-time listener. It's fabulous to have you all here. Now, before we get started today, I just want to apologize in advance for the likely event that I might cough in your ear today. I finally succumbed to COVID over the last couple of weeks. And my whole family went down. Anyway, I am feeling a lot better today and really just have this kind of congestion and cough that just won't go away. So, it might interrupt us a little bit today, but we'll just get on with things, hey? So while I was stuck in my bedroom, in my sick bed, I actually felt a little bit inspired to create today's episode, which is all about how, three things that you really need to have in place in order to either scale and grow or to sell your business. Because even though I took a week off work to recover from this awful illness, my business kept going and all the work got done. And that's because I've got my business all set up to run without needing me to do all of the work. And this is the sort of setup that, we need to have in our business if we want to either scale and grow or if we want to sell. And I have actually seen a lot of businesses coming up for sale so far this year. And I would say that a lot of them are being sold off quite cheaply because the business owner just has run out of puff. They're super burnt out and just kind of over it. And statistically, this actually happens a lot around the 5 to 6 year mark in businesses, particularly where the founder has not really managed to systemize themselves out of having to do all the work. So kind of, not having made themselves pretty much redundant in the business, if that makes sense. And I can speak about this from personal experience as well, because I did go through burnout myself in my first business. And it's actually one of the main reasons why I decided to sell out of that first business. And it really literally took me about 3 months of doing basically nothing to actually kind of recover from that burnout situation. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try and unpack the psychology of why so many entrepreneurs don't progress their business in a way that enables them to grow with a team and systems to operate without themselves needing to do all the work. I think that would probably be a really great episode though, a really great topic, to really try and understand the mindsets required to really go for it in your business like that. However, today's episode is going to be about what you really need to have in place in your business in order to either scale and grow sustainably. And by sustainably, I mean both in terms of financially viable and profitable, but also in terms of your own physical and emotional exertion so that you don't burn out or drive yourself into the ground. And at the same time, it's the same things that need to be in place in order to sell your business for a really good price as well. So pretty cool that we can combine this together. Now, you might even decide by the time that you have all of this in place that your business is enjoyable and manageable and you don't want to sell it anymore. Or, of course, you might find that the price that you could sell it for is too good to pass up. So really, it's a win-win. Now, the first thing that we all need to have in place is documented data. And I'll just back up for 1 second and say, caveat here, I'm not going to explain absolutely everything that you need to have in place to scale and grow or to sell. Because that, there's whole degrees that are written to teach all of this kind of stuff. But these are three really, really crucial things that you need to have in place and that are often missing when I see businesses go out for sale. So first thing that we really need to have in place is documented data. And sometimes I feel like I bang on about this to the point where your eyes are kind of probably starting to glaze over a little bit and you want to tune out. And I get it. Documenting data and performance metrics and analytics is really boring for a lot of people. But looking at your analytics is just not enough. You need to document it on a weekly basis, at least, so that you can start to see the trends and hopefully be able to decipher the improvements that you are making over time or that you need to make over time. And this gives you the data that you need to, to be able to draw insights from your work as well. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever heard me tell the story about flying. I'm going to repeat it now anyway. So imagine you are on an international flight to some gorgeous holiday destination. Personally, I love imagining this because, I'm kind of vicariously living through my imagination in this regard. I won't be going on that kind of a flight in reality for quite some time. So anyway, Imagine you are flying to a fantastic location somewhere, and you are flying over the ocean en route, and the pilot comes over on the PA to make an announcement. And she says, I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is we've lost all of our instruments, so we don't have any idea how fast we're flying, what direction we're traveling in, how high up we are, or how much fuel we have left. But the good news is we're making great progress. Now, obviously, this is a pretty far-fetched situation, and, you know, I don't think any of us would ever want to hear that a pilot make that kind of an announcement. But this is the definition of flying by the seat of your pants, and it is exactly what so many entrepreneurs do in their business. Just like the story about flying, you would never drive from, say, Melbourne to Darwin without using a map and looking at your car dashboard to tell you if you're heading in the right direction and that you have enough fuel and so on. You would be looking at that car dashboard multiple times a day, in fact, to make sure that you get to your destination. I'm going to give you another example as well from the world of elite competitive swimming. You knew this was coming, didn't you? As most of you listeners know, my two sons, Aidan and Hamish, they spend about 25 hours a week in the pool each week. And the thing about competitive swimming is that they all spend all this time working towards cutting even just a few hundredths of a second off their race times, depending on what race events that they're doing, just so that, you know, they can get from one end of the pool to the other end of the pool faster than the other kids, right? And there are so many components that come into that, from diving to stroke rate, to kick rate, to tumble turns, to the touch at the end, and many, many, many other factors and techniques in between. And their training sessions, you know, they're geared towards working on all of these different elements, along with general fitness and strength and flexibility, and all hopefully done without injuring themselves in the process. So they need to keep track of what they're doing in training to make sure that they are improving and that they're not at risk of hurting themselves by putting too much load on one part of the body, for example. Often it's the shoulders. And we need to be doing this kind of monitoring and documenting and analysis in business as well. By documenting all your key performance metrics on a weekly basis, this acts as your navigation dashboard for your business. And that weekly check-in and analysis of your efforts and results and progress gives you, 52 times a year where you can alter your course or put your foot on the gas or put your foot on the brakes or whatever is the appropriate response based on the data at hand. And what I find is by doing this, it takes your eye off wishing your ultimate end result, goal result would happen overnight and puts your focus instead on the incremental improvements that you're making on your progress journey. And eyeballing or noticing those incremental improvements is what keeps our moods positive and our motivation up so that we have the energy to keep pushing forwards rather than just feeling like a loser because we haven't made $1 million yet and don't know why that result hasn't happened. And I'll give you another critical reason why you need to be documenting your performance metrics each week as well, not just looking at them. When you document your metrics weekly, you start to learn what marketing efforts are consistently driving the traffic and revenue in your business, which probably sounds like a duh moment. But here's the thing, if you want to sell your business or a portion of your business, say, to bring in some investors, then you need to show evidence that you can control and influence traffic and sales. Investors and buyers, they want to know that they are buying a money-making asset. They want to see the data that shows them here is the tap to turn on to get more traffic and sales. And for this reason, the business owner doing all the hustle is not an attractive prospect at all. No buyer or investor will want to buy a business that only generates sales when the owner is personally getting, say, on live IGTV or is creating all the reels or TikToks with themselves as the model. And, it's all manual hustle and none of it is replicable or scalable. So if you do want to try and sell your business, you will need to put yourselves in the potential buyer's shoes and think about what would be an attractive proposition for them. They want to buy a business that makes money predictably and consistently and has the potential to grow, right? And for that, you need data. Now, if you have no idea what data you should be recording or how to go about this, then there are a few ways that you can get help with this. Number one is this is part of what we teach our students and implement on behalf of our clients and our agency as well. So you can always get help from one of our coaching programs or done for you services. Or number two, you can start to learn the ropes for free by signing up for our free e-commerce growth pack, which has a number of really useful resources in there. So to get your copy of that, you can just head to katherinelangman.com/e-commerce-growth-pack, and I will send you a copy for free. All right, so number two is that you need to have systems and processes in place. And this is an easy enough concept to grasp, but it can be difficult to execute, especially if you've ever been through an experience, perhaps where a team member or a contractor has not done things the way you want them done, and you felt like, maybe it's just quicker and more accurate if I do it myself, or it'll take longer to explain it, so I'll just do it myself. Unfortunately, that approach leads to the business owner to becoming the bottleneck in the business. And, at the end of the day, we only have a finite amount of time at our disposal, and we can't make more time. It is what it is, right? So the only way our business can produce bigger and better results is to become either more efficient in the way that we do things, to automate what we do, and, then to get more hands on deck so that we can delegate or outsource. And I guess I always like to remind myself and remind others, you would never see the likes of Jeff Bezos packing orders at Amazon, right? So, in order to scale and grow, not that we all want to become the head of a behemoth like Amazon, we do need to be able to build our business in a scalable way. And this means that we need to systemize our business. So how do we do that? So firstly, I actually like to start with an exercise that my mentor likes to call the time-sucking monster exercise. And so this one is pretty basic, and probably anyone who's worked in a professional desk job has had to do it in the past. So literally what you need to do is to write down the tasks that you do each day and the time you spend doing them, i.e. keeping timesheets. Yay, I know that is a great fun exercise. You probably just want to tune out right now. Don't do that. Well, you'll see why in a minute, why this is so useful. Now, you want to do this for at minimum a whole week, but preferably a month, so that you can get a really accurate picture of everything that you're doing and how long it's taking you. Now, my mentor actually includes tracking the tasks that you do in your home or your personal life as well in this exercise, because I guess a lot of us are doing a lot of we're spending a lot of time doing really low value tasks that could be outsourced to free up time that we can then convert to generating more income if we had that time to devote to our work, right? Anyway, so once you have completed the time-sucking monster exercise, gosh, it's a tongue twister, then you need to break down all of the tasks that you do kind of into the main functional areas of your business and, of course, your life if you're doing it on that as well. So it might be, say, marketing is a headline area, and within that you might spend time creating content, scheduling or engaging on social media, writing and sending emails, updating your website, working on some SEO, setting up or managing advertising campaigns, maybe attending an expo or a trade show, maybe making some phone calls to stockists or communicating with some brand reps or whatever. I mean, on and on, right? Operationally, you might spend time picking and packing orders, responding to customer service inquiries, placing orders for inventory, dealing with suppliers or logistics providers, and so on and so on. So, you get the full list documented and you work out how much time that you're spending doing each task in your business. That's not where you start. That's not where you finish this exercise though, because then you need to be able to think about the potential value that those tasks have for your business. And by this, I mean, if you do this work, what potential impact does it have to grow your revenue? So if you spend, for example, if you spend time putting together a new promotional campaign or creating a new product to launch, then these activities are likely to have a really big potential impact on your revenue, right? And then there would be tasks like picking and packing orders, responding to customer service emails, scheduling content on social media and the likes, and that are all really necessary to the ongoing success of your business, but they just need to get done. They're not as likely to have a really big impact on your growth if you, the business owner, do these tasks yourself. So what you want to end up with is a list of really time-sucking tasks that you're doing yourself, but that aren't really likely to have a great impact on your growth potential. And that by continuing these tasks yourself, you are literally robbing yourself of the chance to grow, because that time is not spent on high growth activities. So the opportunity cost of you spending all your time on busy but low impact activities is huge. Now, I actually still do this exercise every now and again. I've been in business for 15 years now, and anytime I notice myself becoming a bottleneck in the business, I'll do it again to help me work out where the opportunities exist to get more leverage into my time and really make sure that I'm spending my time on the highest impact work. And the last time I did this exercise, I realized that I was literally spending more than 3 hours every day, every afternoon. This is not even the total time that I would spend every day driving, but every 3 hours every afternoon driving my kids to and from the pool. And so now my oldest son has the Uber app on his phone. He's nearly 17, and they catch an Uber from school to the pool. So there's just one trip. And then hubby picks them up from the pool after he finishes work, and the kids are happy, and I get my afternoons back, which has been absolutely brilliant. So, what's costing me maybe $20 to $25 for that trip, probably 25 now with the cost of fuel. But, that's freed up 3 hours of time that I can spend on high impact work in my business. And it is absolutely worth, in terms of the revenue results, it's worth it for me to do that. So, okay, when you have done that time-sucking monster exercise and you've worked out what you really need to spend your time on and what you need to delegate, then you need to make sure that you are getting other people to do that work for you in the way that you want it done. And part of this does come down to choosing the right people to do the work, but that's not it entirely. You also need to be able to train others to do things how you want them done as well. So I'll tell you a quick story. My daughter, who is 11 and in year 6 at school now, she's currently doing an assignment in health where she has to observe me or her dad making a family meal, write down the ingredients and the method, and then have a think about how she could improve the meal to be more healthy and nutritious. And then she has to write down her own recipe and cooking method, plus she has to prepare it, thankfully for the whole family, not just for herself, and then cook it herself and document herself doing that as part of the assignment. So, with video or photos to go with the written assignment. So in a nutshell, this is exactly the same as documenting a system in your business. Now, obviously, there is more to it than that. I mean, for example, when it comes to cooking, you can't just assume that the person cooking the recipe knows how to cut or prepare food or use a stove or an oven and so on. As an aside, I remember years ago, my boyfriend at the time deciding to bake a cake. And after reading the recipe that instructed him to cream the butter and the sugar, he proceeded to melt the butter and stir in the sugar. And I thought it was hilarious at the time, but he'd never baked a cake before and he didn't know what it meant. So obviously, or hopefully it's obvious, that there are 2 stages to kind of getting staff to follow your systems and processes. And the first is, of course, to document it in a clear, linear fashion, making sure to identify and explain each step so that it's really simple and logical to follow. And it also is an efficient way to go about doing whatever this process is. And then secondly, to train them how to do the whole process. Now, it's generally the best practice to work out your system or process step by step for yourself and document that first. And by document it, I mean in both written steps and also generally with an accompanying video if you can. I like to use the tool called loom.com to help with that. It's a very easy way to video your screen if you're doing a video of your screen, of what you're doing on the screen rather. And then you need to get your team member to go through the process. Firstly, you want to give them the opportunity to ask questions if they're unclear on anything, and then, of course, get them to implement the whole process themselves and document how they go with it. And then you need to sort of sit down and review their work together and give them constructive feedback so that they have the opportunity to improve their work as well. There's nothing worse than just, giving people a recipe and a method and saying, off you go and do it. Don't come and bother me. You're just going to get disappointed if you do it that way. Now, in our business, we use a combination of Google Drive and also Asana, which is a project management tool. So we use these tools to document all of our systems and processes. And plus, we also have regular team meetings to make sure that everything stays on track. And I know that other people use Google Sites, which is like an intranet, or Trello, and there's loads of other tools out there as well. So there's plenty of different tools that you can use depending on what works best for you. Now, it might feel like a whole lot of extra work to document these things on top of actually doing the work, but it really doesn't need to be like that. So basically, every time you go to do a task that has not yet been documented, you want to open up the Google Doc and have Loom switched on so that you can record yourself doing the task and just document it as you go. So it might add like 5 or 10 extra minutes to the task, but if it sets you up to then train someone else on how to do it, you're going to ultimately buy back a lot of your future time. And there are so many benefits for documenting your systems and processes as well. So number one is, of course, being able to delegate some of your tasks to other people, whether you hire team members or outsource to contractors or service providers. But number two is even more important because this adds even more value to your business when the time comes to sell it. So just like I was saying earlier in regards to documenting your performance metrics, a potential investor or buyer will want to see that a business has systems and processes in place so that all the functions and tasks in the business are executed in an efficient and repeatable manner, and that the business owner does not have it all up in their head, right? So this has actually recently been a problem in my kids' swimming club because the head coach was absolutely hopeless at communicating with anyone or delegating anything to anyone. Nothing was documented or delegated. It was literally all in his head. Now, he's a great coach in terms of the results he gets with the swimmers. He had a swimmer go off to the Olympics last year. Like, he's been coaching kids to the highest level. Excuse me, having a drink. But he just didn't cultivate the rest of the coaching team or communicate with the management committee or have all the runnings of the club documented in any way at all, which is fine if everything's going along fine, right? But then about a month or so ago, he got poached by a bigger club willing to pay him a truckload more money. And, thankfully our club has been able to replace him with someone equally talented, but and this person actually also understands operations, which is great. So we'll be okay moving forwards. But it was concerning and a bit stressful there a bit because of that key person reliance. So for you and your business, you'll also have peace of mind if things happen and get done, regardless of whether you are sick or you want to take time off for a holiday, or if you're just busy just doing certain, higher impact tasks in your business. So this is often when entrepreneurs will decide that maybe they don't want to sell it anymore because the business is a lot more fun and manageable and less stressful, and it's still making them money, and they're not having to do all the things and wear all the hats, which is a pretty amazing place to land. And of course, that's when you have built an asset for yourself to keep long term, or of course to sell. So there you go. That's what I have for you for today's episode. 3 essential things that you need to have in place in your business, either to scale and grow or to sell your business. I really hope that you have found this helpful. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of inspiration and motivation as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, I would love to ask you for a quick favor. Would you share it with 1 or 2 of your business besties, especially if you know that they are looking to either scale and grow or to sell their e-commerce business this year? It is super easy to share. All you need to do is to click on the icon on next to the episode on whichever platform that you are listening to it on, and copy that share link and then send it in a message to your friends. Now, just a reminder, if you want to get your hands on a free copy of the e-commerce growth pack I mentioned, we will link to it in the show notes at katherineLangman.com/episode-126, so 126. Or of course, you can head to katherineLangman.com/e-commerce-growth-pack, and you can access a free copy for yourself. Now, lastly, if you are keen for more in-depth help and support with this stuff, please just give us a shout. We offer courses, coaching, and done-for-you services to suit every stage in business, whether you need to help to learn and implement these things or you are ready to outsource to our team. So all you need to do is head over to productpreneurmarketing.com and you can book in for a free strategy session with my team. That's it for today. Bye for now. I'll be with you again on the show next week.